I promised to make a new video, or the newer or next video, that was supposed to be about the whole thing about VTubing, my experiences, my thoughts, some things that I would like to share for those who may or may not be wanting to become a new VTuber. But note that there are absolutely no obligations for anyone to be a VTuber. In case that people are like, oh, you must be a VTuber now in order to be making some kind of a chance or whatsoever. That is absolutely not the case. But for those that would like to be a VTuber and would like to know more, I do have some things to share. Maybe you can also start with the beginnings, where people may have a question of how expensive is a VTuber model? How much should I spend on VTube models? What should I do in order for people to notice me? Should I make a certain character in this way or that way? But for me, like, I would say that making a VTuber character or your first persona basically can go up to whatever you fancy. It doesn't have to be extremely like detailed, over the top detailed. It doesn't have to be the craziest thing that you would be able to make for yourself, or have an artist do, like create a character for you. It doesn't have to be that way. You can make it as cheap as you want it to be, or you can make it as expensive as you want it to be. That's entirely up to you. But there are no obligations. There are no rules of, like, you need to have like this and this and this, or you need to have a model that looks like the one that you're looking on screen right now. Like, it has to look like very detailed and stuff like that. There's no need for that. You can go with whatever you like, honestly. And for example, there are VTubers who start off as a PNG tuber. That's actually how I started as well. I also have a GIF-tuber model, and then also obviously a 2D model, and then this would be my 3D model that I would use for on stream or in videos like these, where like it's a little bit more interactive, where it looks a little bit more real or transparent, or however you might be able to say it, like connection-wise, that is, for people who are tuning in. And like this here program that I'm using, for example, is Warudo. May have said like kind of weird, because it's like, Zawarudo, but then Warudo is like the English, the American pronunciation. But it's basically that program called Warudo. And this allows you to have 3D models imported in here, where you can have models such as these, for example, that you can use for VTubing purposes. You can have a transparent background then, and then put that in OBS, which is a free program, by the way. OBS is a free streaming program, which you definitely should know about when you start streaming. There are other options as well, such as Streamlabs. I do have experience with Streamlabs, but it just goes to say that you can use programs or models to whatever you see fit. As long as it works, that's basically it. If it works, go for it. But don't think that you need to have like some kind of an expectation of, I'm like, for my first debut stream or something, I must have this, or I must have this character looking like this, or my character must be able to be extremely expressive, things along those lines. That is absolutely not needed. The next thing, maybe also very important to know for those that, start out as a VTuber, is that the VTubing community can be a nice place. And that is like with a little asterisk there, to basically make absolutely clear that while the vast majority of VTubers are just chill people that like to share their passion with others by being a character or playing a character or having some kind of a character visualization for people to kind of connect with, like some kind of a brand as well, while that is also technically their character. And that's like the cool part about VTubing, that you can be whatever you want. You can have a model like this, you can have a trash can model, you can have a squirrel model, you can have a microwave model, whatever you see fit. You can make anything you want. So that is like a good part, that you will see all kinds of VTubers, and are basically as good as no limit to what kind of model that you need. But it is still very important to know that while there are so many VTubers out there, and it's very accessible nowadays compared to, let's say, 10, 15 years ago, that now while we have all these models, sometimes you can find yourself in little predicaments where your character that you would like to have looks very similar to another character or another VTuber that already has a model of their own, branded and everything, where you basically aren't exactly able to make it exactly the same as you wanted it to be. Mine is like some changes that you might want to apply to it, because, you know, otherwise people will basically call you out to say like, yeah, you look like this VTuber, or you copied that VTuber, or you're just trying to be the next this VTuber, something along those lines. So that's why, like, in terms of model things, that might be very important to know as well, is try to have something that is unique to you and that identifies you as a character, so that you know for in the future that if people look at your model, that they know it is that person. That is not going to be like, oh, it's just going to be VTuber, like that popular VTuber 2.0 or this popular VTuber 3.0, you know? Like things like that. You want to avoid those kind of models that look very samey, even though there's like a million fox girls, there's like a million cat girls, stuff like that. You want to try avoiding those stereotypes mostly, or those very common models, basically. Another thing, maybe, and this is a little bit more of a serious thing, but very important nonetheless to know for starting VTubers, is that while there are so many VTubers, again, many of them are very, very friendly, very chill, but there are also quite a lot, and that kind of sucks, and I have to be honest with this, where the VTubing scene can kind of be seen as or compared to a high school mentality, where there are VTubers who don't really have the best interest for everyone, who want to basically eliminate whatever competition that there is in order for them to stand out. And that is something that you will see from time to time, where people or VTubers would usually clash with one another for some kind of a disagreement, and then they will do whatever they can to make the other person look bad. And this usually then just trickles down in some drama, basically, and sadly enough, that is, like, I know that I'm talking about this kind of topic for the starting VTubers, and I'm not trying to scare you or anything. I'm just trying to make you aware of what is like the entire package, basically, and also with my experiences, where you will then be prepared, or more prepared, in compared to me, because no one told me about this until I've learned it the hard way myself, causing me to have been banned from certain communities, and also being like being framed as someone that has doxed somewhere, or being framed as someone that is this or that is that, you know, things like that. So that's why I wanted to be absolutely sure that you guys know that you have to be careful still, even though everything looks very nice on paper, right? Everything, like, everyone looks very nice, everyone looks very chill, until you say something that they don't like. If you, like, this is something that happens quite often. If you try to speak your mind, there are sometimes VTubers or VTuber communities that do not align with what you have said, and that's usually like a political thing, where if you say something that that is against their point of views, you will be called out. Most of the time, there will be things where they will call you out and say, like, I don't allow this in my community. Yeah, I don't feel, or we don't feel safe with the things that you have said, and therefore you are banned. This is literally something that happened to me, so that's why I can speak from experience, and this is for multiple things, like multiple instances, because not only was I banned, for example, from my VTubers community, a big VTubers community, but also artists, for example, which is also very important to know. Like, with you wanting to be a VTuber, is that of course you would like to reach out to artists to create artwork of your character, of your model, but sometimes they also let their politics stand in between you and potential collaboration with you, or between you and the artist, for you to actually, you know, have a very fun or cool looking artwork. And because of like some political differences, there are many chances that you will therefore not have a chance anymore, or not have a chance anymore to work with an artist that you really like, despite getting along prior. So that's why be very wary that, or be made wary that, if you would speak your mind about like certain sensitive topics, there's many instances where you will get in trouble for that. Not necessarily that you did something wrong, but just because it doesn't align with them perfectly, or align with them whatsoever, and therefore you'll be seen as a bad person. There will be difficulties in communication. There will be difficulties in reaching out to people. There will be rumors spread around about you, usually within same groups as well, because note, like especially with bigger VTubers, that whatever they kind of encounter with someone, they will tell their other friends, their other big VTuber friends, and then they will also like know, and their communities will know. And it's kind of spreading like wildfire then at that point, and that's very dangerous. That's a very shady predicament to be in. And again, I can talk from experience because it happened to me, and this is exactly what I would like to prevent from happening to you guys. And I'm not by any means saying that you should not speak your mind. On the contrary, I would actually encourage you to do so. But it's just such a shitty situation to be in, because it happens very frequently where VTubers, again, VTubers or VTuber communities or people in said VTuber communities that would usually be friends with you, but the moment that you said one wrong thing, therefore you are their enemy. That happens ridiculously very frequently here in the VTuber community, and I would like to be making or spending like this amount of attention. That's why this part is a little bit longer. It's because I want to be sure that you guys know what you're getting yourself into, and that you know what to prepare for, what to be expecting, what could happen potentially in the future, so that you know, like, oh wait, this tabby chick basically told me about this thing, about this VTuber shenanigan, about this situation that I might be getting myself into. And that's because I don't want you guys to be unprepared, because I was unprepared, because nobody told me. Nobody told me that somehow VTubers and politics often go hand in hand, and if you don't align with them perfectly, therefore you're going to be seen as their enemy, and will do everything that they can to make you look like a bad person, which absolutely sucks. And I find that, in my opinion, that people should be able to get along with one another regardless of their political views, regardless of their interests, regardless of their religion or whatever, you know, things like that. I feel like you should be able to be friends even though there are differences. Sadly enough, this also still happens quite often in the VTubing scene, where even though that there are differences, once there is a difference, it's already going to be a lot more complicated than before. Even though prior to whatever differences that you made public, that you guys were very good friends beforehand. So again, I want to be very clear on that of people of which you know that I can work with these people, or I can be friends with these people, or this community accepts people for who they are, and accepts people from all kinds of backgrounds, and accepts people for whatever they are saying, that there's free speech and stuff like that. Like, that is a community that you can work with. That is a community that you would like to stick with. But the moment that you encounter another one that doesn't allow you to speak freely and will demonize you for having a different point of view, you want to get out of that situation as soon as possible. You want to leave that community as soon as possible, or there will be a huge amount of drama just dogpiled on you. And again, how do I know this? I can speak from experience, because I had a little drama thing going on, and you know, it's something, again, I don't want anyone else going through like similar things that I have gone through. So that's why I really wanted to make this video, primarily actually just trying to warn people whenever they want to become a VTuber, and kind of like get the basics in as well, like the basics of what kind of model do you need, what programs do you need, are there any requirements, like stuff like that. So that's why I started with that, because like that's a very basic thing. Like, you don't need a very expensive model, you don't need the craziest programs. You can start very simple and just work your way up. And I don't mind going to detail in that whole setup thing. And that is also actually something that I would like to do in the future, is that if there are people who would like to become a VTuber, I would like to personally help them and personally pay for their first like GiftTuber model to basically get them started. To have like some kind of a starter package, all paid by me. They won't have to pay anything. Maybe, I don't know, if VTube is still like some kind of, I don't know. VTube is basically the bare necessity that you would need for like the GiftTuber to work. It's like a very, like, I think it's like maybe $5 or $10, something along those lines. I kind of forgot, because it's been a while since I've had that, since I paid for it. But I've had the program for a very long time. It's a very solid program, and it's very easy to set up. It's literally just drag your model in there, and there you go. And yeah, I don't mind paying for the initial GiftTuber model. The only thing that I would need then to start is just basically some kind of a capture reference sheet that you have, for me to like basically tell my artist, yeah, go, make this character and I will pay for it. But that's something like for later, that's like future stuff. But I would like to make that clear as well for those who would like to be a beginning VTuber, that with these points that I'm telling you, like about how expensive should your model be, what should it look like, what programs do you need, but also what to watch out for in a VTuber community. And then also with that entire package, or like this entire package, I would like to say that you also get a model from me to actually start VTubing. So that's actually what I would like to do. But in other terms, I would like to say as well that I do have, how would I say this? I would like to say, like, with this whole tangent that I was going on about like how bad the VTubing scene is in terms of like political stuff, and like watch out with what you're saying or else you will be demonized, is not only is it true, but I would also like to say that the other side is also true, that with the chill people that are around, you can kind of compare it with how many people, like how many best friends that you could have. And usually there's like a saying that we have here in Belgium, like you can count your friends on like one or two hands, basically, right? It's basically the same thing. Like you will not get along with everyone, but there will be people in the VTubing community. Well, not VTuber community. You will just encounter VTubers because there is no VTuber community. I'll just be honest. Like I was told in the beginning that there was a VTubing community. There isn't. The only VTubing communities that you will see are the individual communities that are basically connected to the VTuber themselves. Like the entire VTuber community, there is no such thing, because again, like I said before, it is a high school mentality kind of environment, sadly enough, where people are kind of out for each other. It sucks that it is kind of this way. I guess this might be the idol environment. That's kind of the same thing, where again, there are some snakes here, and there are quite some snakes in there, or in this VTuber community. But that's why I keep saying, like, find the communities specifically to a VTuber that you like, and if things go well and you mesh well, there you go. But that doesn't mean that you will get along with everyone, right? There will be many VTubers that you will disagree with, but there will also be many VTubers that you will agree with and will get along with. But again, those won't be very many. But those that you will encounter, and those that, like I said, like you count them on one or two hands, those are the people that you can work with. Those are the people that will still, stick around with you and stand by you and accept you for who you are. And that is normally what I think should have been the standard for literally every VTubing community, for every VTuber's community. So that's why be very, in the beginning, be very careful with what you do in terms of networking, right? So what you like to do is like as a little recap, because I'm kind of like rambling, because again, I don't script these videos basically. But so to kind of recap this entire thing with what I said about the VTubing thing, and again, if people would like to know more into detail, feel free to let me know, like reply in the comments, or leave a reply in the comments, or leave a comment, whatever, so that I can respond to that as well. If you would like me to, maybe I can make a video out of that too, in case you want to go more in depth. But this is basically more a introductory kind of thing for like VTubers. So to recap what I said here in this video is, number one, you don't need to make your VTuber expensive as hell. You can make it as cheap as you want. You can make it as expensive as you want. Also, make sure that your character does not look too similar to an already existing VTuber. Try to make something unique in terms of like character design. Don't be just another fox girl, just another cat girl, just another, something like that. Because those are very common. You want to avoid those. Also, in terms of programs that you use, you can use OBS, which is free to stream. That is the bare minimum that you would need. There's also Streamlabs. That is a little bit more beginner friendly to kind of set up with like alerts and things and here and there. But that is something I don't mind getting into details with, in case there would be a 2.0 or a parts 2 thing for this video, or during the training, basically, of if I would have someone that would be interested in becoming a VTuber, then I can also explain that to them personally. I would have like personal VTubing coaching, setup sessions and stuff like that to basically help them out or get them started. Speaking of starting, I would also be more than willing to pay for a gift tuber of someone who would like to be a who would like to start being a VTuber. But that aside, then also on the more serious parts is that not everyone and not every VTuber you will get along with. Like not every VTuber will be someone that you thought that would be a good friend to you. There will be people that will basically, sorry to say, but kind of backstab you the moment that they see that you don't align perfectly with them. So I would say it is more important for you to stick to yourself and stick to your own guns, basically, to be the person that you are. And if people don't accept you for who you are, move on, try to find someone else. Be very wary as well of people who try to use you as a stepping stone to gain something from you. But do note that you will find people that you will absolutely love to hang around with. And those are the people that you can then collaborate with in the future and actually do collab streams and play games and do random things together for your own community and then also their community. So that's why, again, there's not only bad things in the VTuber community, but at least be made wary of the things that could go south, that you at least are aware and that you are prepared for whatever may happen. Sadly enough, it does happen a little often, and VTubers and drama kind of go hand in hand, but that's why that doesn't mean you always, or that it always is, but that it is a possibility. So that's why I just wanted to make you wary of that. And again, if people would like to know more, if people would like to have a 2.0 or parts 2 about like the whole VTubing thing, more in detail about a certain topic or certain something that you guys would like to know, feel free to let me know in the comments and I will see what I can do. Sorry for the little ramble. Again, I didn't script this. I was just going with this as I went from the things that I knew from the top of my head, but also not going too much into detail so that I wouldn't ramble even more, right? And basically, it's just like the things, the very basic things that I would like to explain on a very extremely surface level for just like the very starting questions for people who would like to become a VTuber. And therefore, I picked these topics or these points basically to make them sure or aware of what they're getting themselves into. And then if they want to continue, I don't mind helping them out in whatever way that they see fit. So that's why if you have any questions about further, like more in detail questions about VTubing, feel free to let me know and I will respond as soon as possible, or I will make another video like this to make it a little bit more personal, as I would like to connect with you guys more, as I've said before. So yeah, but for, I think for this video, that might be a good starting point. And if you guys have questions, just let me know. But I do thank you for watching this video and maybe listening to my rant. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about sometimes, or rather like in sequence, or what I should be saying like at this part or what I should be saying at that part. So I don't really know. I'm just rambling. I'm just speaking from the heart. And that's why I feel like this is like more a genuine kind of approach to you guys, so that you know, like I don't do things like professionally, like some kind of a script thing to be all professional with cool editing and flashy stuff. And that's also a charm that you can do with VTubing, that you can approach it in whatever way you see fit. That's why I'm doing it this way. I'm just doing it my way. I think that is also the best thing for you to do.